Hello friends, and welcome back to another strange video. So far we've seen some guy renovate his bathroom on the Something Awful forums. We've seen some guy renovate his whole house on the Something Awful forums. Now it is time to learn the weird tale of perhaps one of the largest scale, most ambitious projects ever posted about on the forums, Samadhi Village. Our protagonist is Something Awful user Socratic Moron. The year is 2009, and he has just purchased land. 100 acres of dense rainforest land in the Puna district of the Big Island of Hawaii. He has only actually seen about half an acre of this land he has purchased because the rainforest is too dense to even enter. As of making his first post on the forum on April 23rd, 2009, he has arrived in Hawaii and just started hacking at things with a machete, trying to get into his land. I have no real clue what is on the land. I've used a machete to get through maybe 1/4 of an acre to explore a little, but the foliage is incredibly dense and I was exhausted before too long. How would you efficiently cut trails through such land without destroying the natural foliage by bringing in heavy equipment? Is there any handheld equipment I can purchase to make my life easier? Budget for this equipment would be $1,000 or less, and it can't be electrical. No electricity around. Thanks. Now, why would some white guy from the mainland US do this? Well, he's a yoga instructor. He chose this. He chose this. It's not like he didn't know what he was getting into. He chose this. He chose this specifically because he quote unquote fell in love with the primordial rainforest. Which is of course why you would decide to go and hack at it with a machete. My intent is to build a home and retreat center over the coming years with a focus on permaculture, regeneration, and building all kinds of badass stuff. I want to get to the point where the land is almost completely sustainable in the way of food via raised fish, chickens, fruit trees, gardens, etc. The first year will mostly be exploration of the land by cutting trails, getting to know the land by observing and measuring its nuances in detail, self-education, and planning. I may put up some temporary structures, such as a yurt, during this time. Year 2 should see the first permanent structures, such as a home, solar power, maybe micro hydropower, ponds, yoga studio, etc. And of course, everything has to be natural and DIY, no heavy machinery. He loves nature. He doesn't know anything about it. He doesn't know anything about the environment of Hawaii, but he's here to learn. And he thinks it's just terrible how so many invasive species have taken over the natural rainforest environment, and he just wants to restore it to its beautiful natural state. And he wants to plant lots of native koa trees because they're quote-unquote badass. This video is going to give you a depth of hatred you could never have fathomed for the word badass and maybe awesome. If I can do everything without cutting down a single native tree, that would be badass. I have a lot to learn about everything from native plants to permaculture to construction, and God knows what else, and I'm going to need a lot of help. Hence why he is posting to the DIY forum. Although, a lot of this stuff is pretty out of the scope of the Something Awful DIY forum. Doom Bathroom and Grover House were already pretty ambitious. Like, mostly it's people being like, hey, can I get some advice on this woodworking project? Not, I've bought 100 acres of rainforest. How do I survive here? That's a pretty big thing to just dump on the DIY forum. But before I continue this incredible tale of Something Awful user Socratic Moron and his land, you know what's preferable to living in the woods? Sleeping on a nice new comfy bed from this video sponsor Helix. Helix makes premium mattresses customized to fit your unique needs and conveniently shipped straight to your door. Everyone's different, everyone sleeps differently, which is why Helix has their sleep quiz to match you with your perfect mattress based on your body type and sleep preferences. If you sleep with a partner, you can take the quiz together and find something that's the perfect compromise for the both of you. Based on my results, Helix matched me with their Twilight Luxe mattress. I know. I miss her. I'm not at home right now. She's not here. This is the first time I film a Helix sponsorship without her in so long. I miss her, my Twilight Luxe. The Twilight Luxe is their firmest mattress. I generally prefer a firmer mattress because of the scoliosis demons that live in my spine. Helix has been reviewed against hundreds of competitors and is the most awarded. The Helix Midnight Luxe has been ranked best overall mattress according to both Forbes and Wired. And the Helix lineup includes 20 unique mattresses, as well as a line of mattress toppers to help you customize your experience even more, such as adding extra support if you have back pain. These toppers are great even on non-Helix mattresses, so even if you don't have the budget to upgrade your whole mattress right now, the mattress toppers are still very worth looking into. They've even got Helix Kids mattresses, so if you're interested in upgrading your kids' room for this back-to-school season, Helix has got you covered. Their kids' mattresses are two-sided and flippable, they're stain and water repellent, and they're naturally hypoallergenic. I've had my Helix mattress for over 3 years now. Not the kids. I have the adult size mattress, not the kids one. And I absolutely love it. Myself, my partner, and our 2 beautiful baby Binguses are sleeping amazing on it. And if it makes you nervous to buy a mattress that you've never tried out in person, don't worry, because with Helix you get a 100-night sleep trial. That's right, you can sleep on it for 100 nights before you decide if you really love it. There's also a 10-year warranty, there are financing options and flexible payment plans, and of course, Helix will deliver your mattress straight to your door, and shipping is free within the US. I really like my Helix mattress, so if you are in the market for a new bed for yourself or for your kid this back to school season, visit helixsleep.com/strangeeons to take advantage of their Labor Day sale and get 27% off site-wide. That's right, not 25% off, but in fact 27% off. Thank you to Helix for sponsoring this video, and now I return you to said video. Let's get to know the land, shall we? The acreage is on the east side of the Big Island, about 25 minutes south of Hilo and about 30 minutes from the nearest beach. If there wasn't big-ass trees in the way, I could sit and watch the world's most active volcano spew forth. The elevation is around 2,000 feet, and we receive over 200 inches of rain a year. For context, that is a lot of rain. I mean, it is a rainforest after all. It rains in there. The land slopes from west to east with a drop of about 100 feet. With that much load and over 200 feet of rain per year, I'm thinking I may be able to do something with microhydro for electricity generation. Below are additional images I've taken while hacking through the western overgrown road and venturing maybe 100 feet into the actual jungle. I'm familiar with the hapu, ferns, ohia trees, and strawberry guava, but if any of you know the names of any of the other vegetation in the pictures, I would love to know it. I'm heading back to the land tomorrow, and most days from here out, to explore and begin cutting trails. I'd love to hear any ideas, thoughts, suggestions, etc. from you guys as I go along. He's not living in the jungle yet, by the way. He is renting a house nearby. But he does eventually plan on making the land his permanent residence. In my 31 years, I've founded 5 companies, 2 of which were acquired, and held more jobs than most do in a lifetime. I've made enough money and done enough things where most people would call me quote-unquote successful. I did what society expected of me, and I was pretty much miserable. After extensive soul-searching and introspection, I realized that I had created a false self. I was completely bullshitting myself. Starting at a very young age, I created false personalities in an effort to please those around me, to gain their approval. I wasn't really doing what I wanted to do. I was doing what was expected of me. It's no surprise that I wasn't happy despite, quote-unquote, succeeding. After going much deeper down the introspection rabbit hole, I realized I wanted out of the system. By system, I mean numerous, in my opinion, bullshit expectations of society and so much more, and that's a small part of the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. To exit the system, to become sustainable, to not live in fear, and to provide a means, education, or simple motivation for anyone else out there who wants to do the same. He is met with overwhelming support and excitement from the others in this thread, which honestly sort of surprises me, given how skeptical the DIY forum goons have been of much smaller scale projects. And I think that's probably because most of them do not have the education or skill sets to really critique his plans in any way. Despite this, a ton of people start volunteering to go move out there and help him and start some kind of a goon commune. If you can get me there, I will hack through the invasive jungle for you. If you fed and housed me, I would come work for you for 6 months. I love what you're doing, and my mind is already blazing with ideas. Solar heaters, jellyfish windmills, irrigation projects, integrating the housing structures with trees, etc. Well, goons do have a hard-on for buying an island and forming their own country, and I think it's about as close as we'd ever get. If you offer free camping and maybe rent some portalets or something, I'm sure you'll have all the free labor you can handle from vacationing goons. I'd come for a couple weeks if I could stay on the land and work with you. Chopping down trees, erecting structures, hauling logs out of the bush. Fuck yeah, that would be awesome. Chiming in with I'd do cheap labor for food money and a place to live/camp and possibly party with goons on my off time. Socratic moron, I hope you're noticing a pattern here. You could probably get all of the free manual labor you'd ever need. Kid Sinister, the guy who reported Beatmaster J for cutting his beams? You're telling me he thinks this is a great idea? Okay, sure. He's gotta be fucking with them, right? In a now deleted post, apparently Socratic moron did make an offer to one of these hopeful volunteers. He says, I offered to fly a homeless goon out, house him, provide food, teach him how to make money on the internet, and even pay him a few dollars a day, just so he could have saved money up for when he went back home. And people tore me apart. Why would anyone criticize me on the internet for generously offering for a homeless person to do slave labor for me? Anyway, I would absolutely provide food and housing for anyone interested in coming to work the land, hang out, and have an awesome time. Keep in mind that working in this jungle is hard work, but I'm enjoying every minute of it. He extends the invitation to anyone on the forum who wants to come out and help him. And even throws in a little hint that airfare to Hawaii is super cheap right now. Because obviously he's not going to pay their airfare. That would be insane. Buying 100 acres of land in Hawaii to like do yoga and sustainability or something sounds like a crazy rich person thing to do, but it's actually hard to say how much money Socratic Moron has. He later reveals that the price of the land was quote unquote under $1 million. So I'm imagining like the price of a nice condo in a major city. In Toronto for sure. And he's definitely acting like he's on a pretty tight budget after making this purchase. But it's also possible that he's just really stingy. Like, I don't know, that does tend to be the case with a lot of these guys who post on the DIY forum. So it's unclear what his actual financial situation is. Don't worry, the goons are still on board though. We're gonna need skidding tongs, lifting tongs, axes, saws, hatchets, machetes, and various other tools. Chains, nylon straps, hooks, etc. Plus a tractor or a stout 4x4 truck. I can make some of the tools here, I suppose. Plus some spear tips for boar hunting. That's definitely something I want to do while I'm out there, if that's okay with you. And legal and everything. When are you hoping to have people out? Okay, Slungblade is a little overenthusiastic. Even Socratic Moron tries to discourage him from hunting boars with spears. Keep in mind that the boar here aren't little piggies. These fuckers have big tusks and an attitude to go with it. I've seen the damage they do to hunting dogs, and it isn't pretty. If we can kill some forest pork, it will greatly enhance our meals in the bush. Never underestimate 3 to 6 humans with pointy sticks, though I hope there's at least someone out there who's done this before. What could go wrong? What could possibly go wrong? Nothing could go wrong with this plan. Socratic Moron makes Slungblade promise that if they catch any pigs, they will have to use every part of the animal in as respectful a way as possible, and reiterates that anyone, including Slungblade, is welcome to come out and join him on the land anytime. Enter Mad Lil Nerd. Are you serious about that? Because a gap year clearing rainforest in Hawaii sounds like a dream, and I'm going to be on that side of the world in June. I'm from the UK. I'm in good health, could be fitter, and don't have any allergies or dietary requirements as far as I know, don't have anything planned for the rest of my life, and would be very, very happy just to live off the land in Hawaii. I have no idea how to get a visa though, or even what kind I would need. I'm 100% completely and totally serious. I'm a very community-oriented person, and I know that I'm going to need help. I just want people to keep in mind that while I am a very chill person and don't believe in working hard, this will be hard work. If that makes any sense, sir, it doesn't. I don't believe in giving 100%. Maybe more like 65 to 80%. But even that for 6 hours a day, 5 days a week would be, well, hard. People get very romantic ideas about Hawaii. And while some of that is true, the tons of rain, unforgiving forest, and hard work will be too much for some. In response to her comment about being in good health but could be fitter, he says, the island will fit you up, and if it doesn't, I'm a yoga teacher. In response to her question about what kind of housing will be provided, he says, I want to utilize a variety of structures, such as pole houses, yurts, cabins, rammed earth dwellings, and whatever sounds cool and fun. I want to get super creative when it comes to sustainable green housing and structures, and would love ideas. Socratic Moron returns to the thread with another update after day 2 of exploring his land. Yeah, he's only been here for 2 days. I decided to walk east. Islanders say Makai, which means towards the ocean, versus Mauka, which means towards the mountain or inland. Wow, he's so cultured. Along the main road to see if I could find the northeast boundary of the land. Just over the hill, I came to my first abandoned vehicle. There is a lot of vehicles all over the jungles in Hawaii. Maybe one of you can sleep in it when you come to visit. I want to believe that's a joke. I want to assume that's a joke. I'm not that sure. I'm not as sure as I'd like to be. As I continued along the road, I came upon more junk and heard buzzing. What is that? A closer look? Bees. I guess bees think that mattresses make dandy hive locations. The first job of whoever comes to help will be to lift that mattress while I stand behind you with napalm. I'm kidding, of course. I'm actually pleased to have the bees on my land, though I wish they would have chosen a nicer place. I want to raise bees, though, so maybe I can coax them into a hive box? I was able to find the northeast boundary pretty easily. Here's a picture looking back towards the west from the stake. I decided it was then time to start blazing trails through the forest with my machete. I walked a little along the overgrown road to the west, I'd say about 200 feet in of my land, and then turned into the jungle. I went to Walmart. Yes, they have one here. looking for some bright rope or ribbon when I came across some bright pink duct tape. I purchased that as a means to mark the trails I blaze. I'm blazing trails. I'm a jungle man. I've left society. So I popped over to Walmart. I love it. I love him. He's so. Before too long, I got stuck in my first torrential downpour. Unfortunately, the picture below doesn't catch the rain because it was pouring. My mind said, holy shit, you're in the middle of the jungle and it's pouring. Freak out. Luckily, I didn't listen to it, relaxed, and allowed myself to enjoy the experience. I thought the rain would dissipate after a few minutes, but it kept pouring. I'd say a couple of inches were dumped on me within about 30 minutes. This is how he learns the hard way, that he is absolutely not equipped for rainforest conditions. I need rubber boots. My tennis shoes are now shot. And a large brim hat so the rain doesn't get in my eyes. In addition, the machete flew out of my hand once because it was too slippery. I need some gloves or something so it doesn't happen again. His defenders in the thread say, well, he's being completely honest about what he knows and doesn't know, and about needing help, and about, he's honest. We trust him because he's honest about not knowing anything. Okay, but why does he not know anything? I don't trust him because he doesn't know anything. You would think that someone would have done absolutely minimal research on like the environment and the conditions they're gonna face there and the equipment needed and what is actually realistic to be able to build there. It also strikes me as insane, a unique type of white man hubris insane, to show up in a place where people have been living for thousands of years and be like, you know, I'm just gonna invent how to survive here from scratch. He's treating a plot of land in Hawaii that is a short drive from a Walmart like it's the island from Lost. People literally already know how to live there and are doing it. I want to shake him. I want to put this man in a jar and shake him. I'm blazing trails with my machete. I'm rugged. I'm manly. I reject society. I'm the Joker. Spectacular. Never been done before. He's living in a nearby house. He's shopping at Walmart. He's a clown. Keep all those cars. We can recycle the metal. I might be able to make some decent tools with the steel you can find in them, using charcoal from the forest and the engine blocks as a makeshift anvil. Slungblade, shut the fuck up. This cannot be a serious person, right? This cannot be a serious person. That's brilliant. Yes, I love you. There is only one thing keeping me from literally coming out there right now, and that's my car payment. If there was a way I could make a little more than $300 a month working out there, I'd buy a ticket right now. I gotta say, I am more than a little tempted to jump on the free goon labor bandwagon. I've got no technical experience in anything, and I have never been to Hawaii, and I also grew up in the Midwest and have never actually encountered jungle before, but I'm enthusiastic! Let me ask you this. Do you have any experience or special skills, such as carpentry, electrician, farmer, etc., etc.? I don't have any specific skills like you just listed. Can I build a shed with a hammer and nails? Sure. Can I rewire a car? Just did last week. Can I work a plow / till / mower? I hope so, since I grew up in Kansas and that's all we had. Unlike many goons, though, I won't be a super short-term free labor thing since I have bills to pay, but I'd be the one out there every day for 8 hours a day, making you not regret paying me more than my small monthly car payment. He's like, instead of free labor, how about you pay me slightly more than $300 a month, which is like still, that's not good. So Socratic Moron decides that, you know, he's gonna need some useful people, and, you know, he might need to pay them if they have like any ties to the real world, such as car payments. So he decides he's got to separate out the special useful people from the less useful people. He says he can take on 2 useful skilled people who he will pay $500 a month, and you have to apply for those 2 coveted spots to earn a whole $500 a month. But if you're deemed not useful enough to be paid $500 a month, you are still welcome to come out literally anytime and volunteer for free. And that does not require an application. You can just show up. Just show up. Just show up. Just show up. Just show up, ready to work the land. Food or a food stipend will be provided. I will provide a place to stay, but it may not be that nice. I do guarantee you won't get rained on and you'll be protected from mosquitoes. Beyond that, I'm not sure yet. It will not be a little tent on the land, though, don't worry. You must pay your airfare. I can pick you up at the airport. I will ask you to sign a liability waiver since this is dangerous work. I will ask that you work 5 days a week for an average of 6 hours per day. What I mean by that is some days maybe 4 hours, some days 8 hours, depending on how we feel and what we're doing. The other 2 days you're welcome to do whatever you want. I would prefer that you stay for at least 2 weeks. You may or may not have internet access. Your romantic thoughts about Hawaii and working in the rainforest are probably wrong. This is hard work. Mad Lil Nerd, the woman from the UK, is one of those people who would be signing up as an unpaid volunteer. She says, I wouldn't care about making money as long as I had a ticket home and room and board, so maybe see you in the summer. My parents laughed at me last night when I said I'm going to Hawaii to live with hippies in the forest. Another person says, I'm allergic to bees, but good luck with your retreat. I'd kill to be there. Socratic Moron responds, why back out? Just bring your EpiPen. I was joking about the napalm. Since I first discovered anaphylaxis, I've actually never had the opportunity to jab myself in the leg and pray for the best. I suppose I could bring a bottle of Coke to a hospital and just go nuts in the bushes until I hit pay dirt, but that, well, it does almost sound preferable to trying it for the first time in the middle of a rainforest. Others have a few more questions. Could you please give more details on where you think you could put someone? I understand that it's not a sure thing, but are we talking a guest bedroom or a $200 shed erected on the land you're working on? What kind of transportation would be provided? Like, would I be completely dependent on you if I wanted to go to the store, or would you provide something like a bicycle or something like an ATV for short trips? Right now, I want to do this more than anything, but I would definitely have to sit and think about it for more than a week to make sure it would not be a bad decision. Socratic Moron says that he could maybe let someone else stay in his house near the land. Short term. Only short term, though. He needs his privacy, obviously. Instead, he's looking at buying a big yurt that he can put on the land for the volunteers to stay in. Ugh, I would actually be completely gung-ho about doing this if not for my wife and kids. I actually think my wife would be totally for it, but we have an 8-year-old and a 10-month-old baby. We did our honeymoon in Kona and loved it. Never really wanted to leave. Another person says, if I can find someone to watch my dog for a month, I'm there. I think it's helpful to keep in mind that this was all happening in the wake of the 2008 financial crisis. Socratic Moron was not the only person fantasizing about leaving society or feeling betrayed by society. A lot of people were intrigued by alternatives after the lives and careers that they'd imagined turned out to be unattainable. Hi, I just found out about this thread and your project yesterday, and since then I've been grinning like an idiot. I'm currently living in Oregon, graduated last year with a degree in marine biology, and I have no prospects whatsoever. Currently in the unemployment boat with so many goons, so I have no money for a plane ticket, but once I scrounge up enough to settle my debts and have a nice little nest egg to sit on when I come back, I will strongly consider volunteering for this marvel of goonish engineering. Socratic Moron would later write in a blog post on the Samadhi Village website, which we will be hearing more from later. In the system, you are deemed judged to be successful if you make decent money, have big house, drive nice cars, squirt out a couple kids, and work a job for 40 years until you retire. This is hammered into our minds from an early age, and so we behave and follow the rules without question, because we're good little minions. We work and we save a little bit of money for retirement, but because we have clowns running the country, rampant inflation destroys our ability to really get ahead and be secure in our retirement. And so you stress about money, because you need money in order to be able to survive. And that stress causes you to die a premature death. Ironic that what you need to survive causes you not to survive as long. Our generation is expected to do the same as past generations, work our asses off doing jobs we often don't enjoy that are viewed as successful, and slowly put away money for retirement. For what? Why should I work my ass off to save money for retirement, when that money isn't going to be worth near as much when I do retire? Why should I put $100,000 away so that it can, in essence, be $50,000 or $30,000 in a couple of decades? Or much less, the way they're printing money to bail out the banksters on Wall Street. Put it in the stock market and you'll make money. Yeah, right. Not us. We're working, and by working I mean setting our own hours on a beautiful island building stuff, gardening and enjoying life towards a day when we won't need much, if any money, to survive. We're exiting the system, and one day we hope to help others do the same. Also, Something Awful users tended to be nerds and outcasts and people who are more likely to fantasize about making their own spaces to begin with. I'm honestly kind of surprised there's never been a Tumblr island or something like that. I mean, there's been like made up stuff like Tumblr University and whatever, but I think the only thing anyone's actually ever done has been DashCon. Guys, I literally think we need to get on their level. Where is our Tumblr commune? 2009 was also around the peak popularity of like survival and deserted island type media, like Lost and Survivor were some of the biggest shows. And of course everybody watches that kind of stuff and they're like, whoa, I wonder who I would be on Lost. I bet I could totally crush it. I bet I would totally crush it at Lost. Naturally, this thread, it's full of Lost jokes. What are you going to do when you need professionals? You'll be needing someone with real electrical, carpentry, plant knowledge, etc. experience. I understand you're hiring brute labor at $500 a month for young guys doing a gap year. I guess not having someone there who knows what they're doing when you guys are doing trails and machetes is one thing. You know, doing trails and machetes. But building houses and alternative energy sources is another thing entirely. Sometimes when you need expertise, you will need to pay for it. If you go willy-nilly blazing trails everywhere, you will end up with tons of pools of water all over the place in a rainforest unless you know how to properly grade land and cut a trail. Doing trails is about understanding how erosion works. Don't just head off into the forest with a machete in your hand. Very carefully plan your layout first. Once you figure out the path you are taking, you will need to remove the first layer of soil because the organic layer is mud waiting to happen. When you add the trail hardeners, which may include stones, bark, gravel, I would suggest carrying a case of golf balls in your jacket. When you are done cutting the trail, roll the golf ball down any and all inclines. They should roll across the trail, not down it. Wow, okay. Someone who actually knows what's going on here. And Socratic Moron does thank this person for their advice and expertise and says that he will be hiring professionals when necessary. He takes this advice, so you know what, that's good, that's a win. That's a win for Socratic Moron. He also says that he is connected with some people in the local sustainable living community, as well as just regular locals who also know what's going on, who offer him some helpful advice. I hired a local who has helped me out a lot. This guy uses 2 machetes at once, which is quite a sight to behold. I'm getting much better with the machete as well. I think that's a combination of gaining strength, proper technique, and better sharpening. I'm going through multi-inch limbs with a few hacks now, which is awesome. We're currently scoping out the best place to clear out a small road, and maybe an acre so I can put up some temporary structures, garden a little, and get some chickens. Snare plus spear equals perfect way to hunt as far as I'm concerned. Shut up, Slungblade! Slungblade! Shh. Wow, awesome stuff. I would love to go and help out with all of you goons, but I don't even know what kind of help I could provide. I'm a weak, fat girl, and I don't know the first thing about working outside, and I feel I would just get in the way. But damn, it's such a great project and it seems like it would be a really cool experience. I'm seriously tempted to go out for a couple of weeks in August. Do a lot of manual work outside in a jungle and you will become a fit, sexy Hawaiian girl. I'm going to disintegrate into dust. Mad Lil Nerd books her plane ticket. This is also around the time that another man who Socratic Moron describes as a friend/employee named James shows up to help him. James is not a Something Awful user, you will not see him posting, but he is there in real life. So is Socratic Moron's girlfriend Rebecca. I think she's been there from the beginning, but this is when he starts talking about other people more and letting the internet into the day-to-day happenings a bit more. Socratic Moron announces that they're making some good progress with planning and cutting the trails, clearing a site for the garden. He has purchased some baby chickens. My goodness, do baby chicks eat and poop a lot? They're off the heat lamp, but I'm keeping them in the house in a large plastic container for about a week while I build the coop. We decided to have a little fun with my 4x4 and go mowing/driving along the overgrown road. Good God, that was fun. There's something about 2 guys in hick hats and wife beaters, a 4x4, driving through a rainforest, cackling in joy. It doesn't look like much, but I figure within 5 to 7 days we'll have a nice area cleared, after which I'll start posting chicken and gardening updates. Yesterday we made more exploratory trails. I took this video of a trail we made in about 2 hours. Sorry for the quality of it, but it's better than nothing. Yes, there were YouTube videos. He was a vlogger. But all of those videos are gone now. So are most of the photos, actually. I'm including the photos that are still there, but many of them did not survive. The only way of finding this content, I think, would be if I were to track down someone who was there and see if they still have all of this stuff on an old hard drive. I doubt anyone is eager to rehash this 16 years later, so I'm happy to just stick with the fragments of it that remain public. In response to Mad Little Nerd booking her plane tickets, Socratic Moron says, "We're looking forward to meeting you. It takes a lot of balls to do what you're doing. I respect it a lot. I think most people will get cold feet." She also suggested that they name his new chickens. She wanted 2 of them to be named Kelly and Ramestein. He says, "As long as you don't mind stepping on Kelly's head, snapping her neck, gutting her, pulling out her feathers, and then cooking her. Unless you're a vegetarian, of course. I'm looking forward to meeting you too. You will have the honor of being one of the few people to watch me do yoga. Prepare to die laughing because I have the balance and flexibility of a rotten log. At least I have a month to get ready." One of my leaving presents today, last day of work, was a How to Grow Vegetables book, and as they handed it over, they said, "This will come in useful in Hawaii. Kelly will become a delicious coconut chicken korma." You know the only way this can end is Mad Little Nerd stops posting island-wide manhunt ensues, ending in us finding pieces of Mad Little Nerd in your freezer, or you two get along great and this becomes a goon poster project for the future. Either way, color me riveted. This land is so badass. Work is continuing at a good pace. My girlfriend and I are both yoga teachers and have been pondering a name for the land. What do y'all think about Namaste Ranch? A few people point out that ranch implies cows, and that unless he's planning on getting some cows, it's a bit of a stupid name. And yeah, he agrees that was a bit of a stupid name. So instead, we've decided on a name. Samadhi Village. It's a yoga thing. Rebecca and I have a general intent for this land, but we're going to let the universe dictate where it goes. I've been influenced a lot by the way Google runs things. They allow employees a certain amount of time to work on something they're interested in. At Samadhi Village, everyone will have time each day to work on a quote-unquote passion project. A passion project is, well, a project you're passionate about, that in some way benefits the land and community. 1 hour a day out of the 6 we ask you to help out around the land can be devoted to your passion project. James, our first employee, has decided that his passion project will be a tiki bar/hut made out of local materials. 1 hour a day he is researching this, drawing up plans, working on a budget, etc, etc, etc. When he does his final presentation, if we approve it, not all projects will be approved for a variety of reasons, then resources are provided to make the idea a reality. Currently, the itinerary is to build a chicken coop, then a solar kiln to dry wood for building, then like a few houses, then a water tank or something else. Slungblade of all people offers him the advice that a water tank should probably be higher on the priority list. Why would you say water tank first? Fresh, clean water is a necessary component of civilized life. Drinking, washing, food prep all require water. Also, you should think of building a detached bathhouse first. Places to clean up and take showers are really important, not to mention toilets. You probably don't want visiting goons to be wandering into the bush when nature calls. Socratic Moron says, wow, that's really interesting. I hadn't thought of that. And by the way, when we do build a water tank, it's gonna be badass. It's gonna be a badass, awesome water tank and not just like some boring metal tank with a plastic liner. So it seems like water tank was low on his priority list just because it wasn't cool enough. It's just so boring. Oh, you're telling me we need water to establish basic civilization? What about our solar kiln and yoga studio? Does making wind chimes out of scrap metal to sell to tourists count as something productive? They're all gonna perish out there. Socratic Moron discovers, by doing some very basic research, that yurts are not really suited to high humidity climates. So the plan to buy a yurt for all the volunteers to live in is out. Seeing as I am now no longer living in a yurt due to humidity concerns, where am I going to live? This woman has a plane ticket already. He decides just to rent a second house, which costs him $1,100 a month, so that she and all of the other volunteers who will be descending soon will have a place to stay. I'm going to begin trapping mongoose on Monday. The mongoose was originally introduced to Hawaii in the 1800s in an attempt to kill rats, but it turns out that they operate during the day, and the rats here are nocturnal. Good job, huh? So instead, the mongoose decimate the birds, including chickens. When I bought my chicks, the farmer told me he recently started trapping mongoose because he saw a couple and was concerned about his chickens. Believe it or not, he averages 1 a day and has caught over 200. I've seen them around my land, so I know I'll be catching them. This is where the problem comes in. I don't like to catch animals and then not utilize them in some way. Does anyone know if mongoose fur is a useful product? And how about eating them? He and James build a chicken coop that he's very proud of, and to be honest, it does look nice. It's a nice chicken coop. The question now was, how do we get the coop to the land, as we built it at the rental house about 7 miles away? The answer was to nail skids onto the bottom and get crazy. How crazy? I think Rebecca, me, and James all developed a hernia getting that thing into the truck, and we no doubt drew some what the fucks driving down the highway. The highway driving wasn't too bad as we went slow, but the 4x4ing we had to do to get the coop onto the land was quite hairy. Regardless, we made it. We trapped our first mongoose today. Those fuckers are mean. Wow, hissing, growling, spitting, snarling. I have no doubt it wanted to eat our faces. Any ideas for humane killing of these things? Opening the cage while it is alive is a no-go. As such, I'm not overly comfortable shooting it. Drowning it would work, but isn't very humane. Ideas? Get a container of CO or CO2 and a bag big enough to tie around the trap, or just the exhaust from the 4x4. Let it get high and hallucinate while it dies. They eventually settle for just shooting it in the trap, shooting them, because they end up catching multiple mongoose in a matter of days. Contrary to the advice of someone in the forum who tells them shooting it in the trap will potentially ruin your trap and leave you with 1 eye less to worry about due to ricochets. Don't shoot it in the trap! As suggested by the above posters, it will ruin your trap and potentially spray you a face full of hot lead. They shoot it in the trap. This user also says, if you've caught 3 of those cute little mongoose fellows in your land in a matter of days, I think you're in for a fight that'll probably never end. Don't get too emotionally attached to your chickens. Socratic Moron purchases this 2005 John Deere Gator 6x4, which he says is Very impressive. And his girlfriend looks so sexy driving it. Oh yeah, that's a sex machine if I've ever seen one. The Gator 4x6 was delivered today. It kicks so much ass. We drove it all over the place, and it was able to handle the terrain without any problem. It's gonna be perfect for the land. The first true dedicated hater arrives, a user called Vernie. From your updates, it appears to me that you may want to refocus and prioritize your efforts in this project. It seems very scattershot right now. This is dangerous for any project because it leads to essential deliverables falling behind schedule, cost overrun, lowered morale, and so on, if not the outright failure of the project itself. What you could do is sit down and write out exactly what you have in mind for all of this. Keep it phrased in terms of deliverables, which are actual tangible products like your dwellings, trails, etc. Figure out what materials, expertise, and steps are required to complete each deliverable, along with the time frame and budget you want to complete it with. And keep that realistic, because at this point it definitely seems like you're going to end up with a bunch of goons aimlessly hacking at the jungle and accomplishing nothing important. After posting this, Vernie gets dogpiled by people making fun of them and defending Socratic Moron. Socratic Moron also responds to Vernie saying, yeah, this is exactly the kind of business world bullshit he was trying to reject when he bought the land. He says, if I ever use any of the jargon you did while working this land, anyone near me has my permission to punch me in the face. Hard. Because he's found true happiness, okay? Sweating and bleeding on the land. All hail the land. And in fact, actually, he's got some advice for Vernie. If your employees aren't having fun, you suck. Otherwise, you're going to burn your employees out, make them hate life, and the next thing you know, they'll be on a plane to Hawaii to go romp around in the jungle with some weird guy who likes playing in the mud. I mean, I still think he's a little bit of a hypocrite here, given how he's always on about how he's on such a strict budget, okay? There's a strict budget for all of this. Having a strict budget is not really that compatible with kind of just going about things chaotically and feeling things out as you go. And I also think that Vernie made a great point when they said that running out of money and everything turning to chaos also tends to not be great on morale. The investors are revolting Socratic Moron. I recommend immediately shifting your paradigm to prevent your essential deliverables from essentially becoming undeliverable. While the board is appreciative of your efforts to recruit low-wage immigrants to fill the ranks of lower echelon of this company, we are concerned that unforeseen problems may arise. In particular, we are concerned that you have expressed interest in hiring a British national who may or may not have bad teeth. The board recommends that it is quite unwise to offer dental insurance at this time until a greater liquidity within the company has been established. We further recommend addition of short-term cost-cutting measures, such as serving gruel to your subordinates and creating 3-tiered bunk beds to vertically stack the immigrants in the dormitory in order to improve space efficiency. We are also concerned that the company is not projecting a professional attitude, which has spooked some of the investors, raising further capital and will be difficult when the CEO insists upon wearing a wife-beater and cowboy hat in the office. Creating a serious professional atmosphere starts from the top down, and we must insist you wear a tie and dress shirt every day to foster a more driven, focused ethic. We hope you will be willing and able to implement these changes before the annual investor meeting adjourns on July the 11th. By now, 3 people have purchased plane tickets to go out to the land. A couple of days ago, I purchased a 6-foot monkey pod tree. What is a monkey pod? One of the single most beautiful trees I have ever seen. I'd love to have one at the entrance to Samadhi Village, however, I believe they like slightly warmer weather than mine, as I've only seen them near the ocean. As such, I'm devising methods to create a microclimate for it. I'm making sure it receives sun exposure all day long, and I'm going to put a substantial amount of black lava rock around it to act as a heat sink. The goal is to keep the land as natural as possible. It's sustainable, it's natural, it's a yoga thing. Anyway, but this tree is really pretty, so I need to build a microclimate for it. Sorry for the lack of picture updates like I anticipated. This is due to being inundated by rain the last 5 days or so. Our work area on the overgrown road turned into a giant mud puddle. We tried to bring in a dump truck with gravel for the driveway, but he sank into the mud, lol, and the driveway ended up looking like shit. We're getting new animals tomorrow as well. We have a long day of building their pen out of strawberry guava planned for tomorrow. Someone suggests getting some goats, and he says, yeah, we've been pondering goats. Anyone have any additional thoughts on them? You guys got any thoughts on goats? I'm building a microclimate for my pretty tree. I'm bringing a dump truck with gravel onto the land because it turned out to be an unmanageable mud puddle. But we've been pondering getting some goats. This seems like the time. I think that Socratic Moron is really good at PR. He's really good at putting on this like public facing, everything is awesome face for the internet. You kind of have to read between the lines to see like the worst of the drama in this story, because he's always so, everything is great. Moving forward, had maybe a little bit of a setback, but everything is awesome. He's probably having like 17 mental breakdowns behind the scenes. He's gotta be. Anyway, A big tradition here in Hawaii is cooking pig in the ground. It is delicious. So when the opportunity presented itself for us to acquire a couple of baby feral pigs, we jumped on it. The idea is to raise the pigs on quality food, such as grain, papaya, and whatever other fruits and veggies you have, to fatten them up, and then have quite a barbecue when the time comes. The only problem is we didn't have a place to put them. After putting our heads together, we decided to construct a pen out of strawberry guava, an invasive species of trees that grows like weeds we've been cutting down. We also wanted to do it on a micro budget. Punch me in the face if I use jargon. Such as micro budget? Does micro budget count? As usual, Socratic Moron continues encouraging everyone who can to buy a plane ticket and just show up at the land. Everyone is welcome. Everyone who shows even the slightest interest in the thread, he responds like, yeah, just show up! I have carpentry, plumbing, landscaping, logging, roofing, and electrical experience, but there is no way in hell I would help you do this surrounded by a bunch of fat anime fans, unfortunate stereotype about something awful users, who don't ever see the sun for $125 a week. He hires an excavator to clear out the overgrown road. Once again, so much for no heavy machinery on the land. But it's fine, guys, because all of the plants that they're ripping out from the road, they're all invasive species, so it's fine. And the excavator company is so local and respectful, so it's fine. The hoops that this man jumps through, like, why not just say, it was harder than I thought to do all of this manually, so we had to get an excavator. While I disliked bringing any machinery onto the land, I feel I made the right decision. Now we have tons of material to utilize for projects, have space we can begin to garden in, especially since food here in Hawaii is expensive. Only 3 native trees had to be removed, and the land is now much healthier with all of that strawberry guava choking it out. I'm looking forward to starting to plant some tasty veggies tomorrow. Yesterday was a special occasion on the land. Rebecca and I planted the first tree. Naturally, we chose the monkey pod as the tree of choice. We planted it in the northwest corner of the land, near the driveway, so that everyone who enters the land will pass under its outreaching arms once it has grown up. We are looking forward to growing with the tree in coming years. That's the most yoga instructor phrase I've ever heard. So you're all gay for native plants, but instead of planting some awesome native tree species for your first tree, you planted a fucking monkey pod? Good work. From a symbolic perspective, you're absolutely right. I can definitely see the value of planting a native like koa. I just didn't put much thought into the symbolic side of things. Sure, maybe I should have, and we knew we wanted the monkey pod there, and we were ready for it, so we did it. In the end, we're going to be planting a ton of non-native plants, from citrus down to asparagus. Our intention is to return much of the land to natives, but we also want to be able to reach sustainability and have things look darn pretty. I want to chew on him like a dog toy. And then, someone actually fucking does it. Someone arrives. Something awful user, Aquatic Iguana, shows up ready to work the land. Socratic Moron says he's a super cool guy and I'm looking forward to working with him on the land. Aquatic Iguana says, the weather seems really volatile, rain shifts to sun and back pretty frequently. If you aren't big on being wet/muddy, you'll have issues here. My time so far has been spent learning the local offerings and supply shopping. We did a little bit of labor yesterday, a taste of much more to come, I'm sure. Socratic is a totally cool dude. I've been making a few suggestions about things the volunteer house needs and he's been more than accommodating. I'm really looking forward to the coming weeks. He says the rental house is very comfortable and feels like a good size, but maybe it won't when it fills up with more people. This comment prompts users Apathy and Nitro Spaz to jump in saying that they will be joining Aquatic Iguana on the land and the rental house in another couple of days. Does anyone know about generators? We need one for the land, but I don't want to spend big bucks for a quality Honda until we're ready for the solar install. Well, thank God Grover is here to offer some advice. This is only the 3rd DIY forum thread that I've really done a deep dive into, but so many familiar faces. It's lovely. Another user points out that buying feral pigs and raising them it's a little bit pointless and kind of a waste of resources when catching feral pigs is not difficult. You don't even need to hunt them with a spear. Sorry, Slungblade, because you can just leave out food in a consistent spot every day and you can train them and they become really easy to catch. Plus, keeping these pigs in a pen on your land means that if they go into heat, a bunch of feral pigs are going to descend and it's going to be chaos and they're probably going to escape the pen anyway. Another user suggests setting up a live stream camera for this occasion. When Nitro Spaz arrives, he also provides an update saying, "What a cool place and a great group of people. Yesterday I planted potato plants, learned how to use a machete, helped clear the beginning of a new trail, and hauled some lava rocks to the driveway." Mad Lil Nerd is the third volunteer to arrive on the land, but around this time, the updates being posted to the Something Awful forum are getting a little more sparse. People are starting to wonder where Socratic Moron and the volunteers have gone. We need any form of proof that there are still some survivors. I'm pretty sure the goons ate Socratic Moron. There will be no updates. Maybe the mongoose did it? I don't think so. The goons probably ate Socratic Moron. Then the goons didn't manage to survive on their own, so they got eaten by the mongoose. Now it's the mongoose ranch. The bastards are probably learning how to use a machete by now. However, Mad Lil Nerd emerges to provide an update. I know you'd like to hear about us all arguing and hating each other and fighting over Mountain Dew and crap like that, but at the end of the working day here, you're actually too tired to do anything but chill out. The guys are really nice. They're all giving me the space I need in the house. I'm the only girl. Here's the mongoose that was in the trap this morning. The foreman, I assume she means Socratic Moron, which she calls him the foreman a few times. She says the foreman shot Bitey the mongoose in the head several times with a pellet gun, but I believe we're upgrading to a rifle to do a cleaner job. There was another trap today with a muddy mongoose in it, who I very creatively named Muddy, that had been mangled to fuck. The official verdict was that the neighbor's pit bull had gotten it and shaken the poor fucker near to death. We finished that one off with pellets too. Glad you guys are enjoying yourselves. How are you adapting from, I suppose, relatively sedentary life to hardcore rainforest work? Well, at first I just found being out on the land exhausting. The high elevation, the unusual heat, and the uneven ground make everything harder, so it's like working on another planet. Once you get used to it and into the swing of things, the work is generally okay. Now that I've been out here for a while, I don't mind the heat. It's the cold that's been getting to me the last few days. When it rains and rains and rains, you get soaked through, and that's fine when you're still swinging a shovel or a machete. But as soon as you sit down to rest, you end up freezing your bum off. It's the little things that actually make the biggest difference. For example, if you have a blister on your hand and it catches every time you swing your machete, it wears you down. Or if you get a bad sunburn on your back, then you might not be able to sleep as well. Let's just say, at the end of an average day, you feel like you've earned your bed and board. However, she assures everyone that even though the volunteers are working hard, Socratic Moron is not pushing anyone beyond their limit. He's not forcing anyone to do anything that they're not comfortable with. He's very accommodating. He's a good leader. What I have to say about that is, yeah, he fucking better be nice to them and accommodating considering they're doing this basically for free. She is literally doing it for free. She spent her own money to get there and he's not paying her anything. And even the ones who are being paid, it's what, gonna cover the cost of their plane tickets and maybe some food while they're there? Yeah, if he made it a shitty environment for them, they would just leave so fast. Like, of course he has to be nice to them. I personally don't know if I would get along very well with Socratic Moron, but it seems at least that everyone, the volunteers, are having a good time. He's not like evil, he's just a little bit silly. He's just a silly little guy who does yoga. I've been rather quiet lately due to the fact that I've been bummed out. On July 1st, the 6x4 gator and a shitload of tools were stolen from the land. The tools didn't surprise me that much because Hawaii has one of the highest theft rates in the country. However, the gator getting stolen did surprise me as they literally cut down 2 trees and hot-wired it in order to steal it. To say this theft brought up a lot of emotions and stress would be an understatement. God knows I didn't budget for it. I am slowly getting over it, but I am holding on to a thin ray of hope. So, new plan. Make a huge gate. Security cameras. Scary dog. But until all that's done, he says he's going to camp out on the land with his shotgun, and he's going to set booby traps. Should be fun. We're building the gate in part out of ohia by selectively cutting a few trees that we feel will actually improve the health of the forest. One such tree didn't fall the way we wanted and got stuck in the canopy, so we tied a long rope around it and gave it a tug. I'm sure the woodsman reading the thread will freak out, but it actually wasn't all that dangerous in my biased, somewhat head-in-the-clouds opinion. So in the opinion of professionals, it was stupid and dangerous, but I just feel like it was fine. There's apparently a video of them doing this, which I really wish still existed. All I know is that apparently Mad Lil Nerd in the video yells, "We're gonna starve," because the tree falls directly on all of their food plants. However, she does say the damage was pretty minimal though, a few torn banana leaves and 1 or 2 fatalities. Another user chimes in saying, "I'd like to warn you that depending on what you mean by quote-unquote booby traps, you could be opening yourself to some nasty potential litigation and maybe prosecution. Only if they find the bodies. We have 100 acres and tons of lava tubes. I like our chances." In all seriousness, the booby traps won't be lethal or even cause injury. They'll be designed to 1, scare intruders off, and 2, alert me and my anger that needs vented. I wish I was there right now so I could help you with your gate. I could make a nice, sturdy iron one. You know what's fucked up is that I actually kind of missed Slung Blade. Slungblade is my favorite character. We need the collective brain power of all of you for this one. We're installing a gate. And when I mean a gate, I mean a 16-foot wide gate with gigantic ohia logs as the main support poles and beams. According to him, these logs are over 1,000 pounds and 20 feet high. And they have no idea how to get them into the ground. Upright and secure in the ground. Mystery. By September, all volunteers will hopefully be living on the land. What progress have you made to make that doable? Finally, the people in this thread start acting how I expect something awful users to, and they just start suggesting making this gate even more complicated. Scrap the gate idea. You should hang a drawbridge from the thing. Goon castle. Good idea. You can get that British girl to dig a moat. The sad thing is, I am totally up for that. I've decided I like digging, but the soil to the land is fairly rocky and therefore hard to dig, and I'm not sure if a moat counts as a booby trap under Hawaiian law. Socratic Moron says, someone design a drawbridge, especially the raising and lowering mechanism before we start building the actual gate, and I'll consider it. Will the drawbridge have to support vehicle traffic, or will it just be a footbridge? It's one thing to support a couple hundred pounds, quite another to be sturdy enough to allow a truck to pass, or a dump truck, delivery truck, well driller, etc. Thanks, Grover. Your input is always invaluable. User Ginger Smurf muses about the idea of sending care packages to the volunteers. She says that she wants to make them quilts and other little creature comforts, like towels, linens, dishes, and little homemaking things that make civilized living possible. However, Mad Lil Nerd reminds her, this lifestyle is not compatible with civilized living. We have jungle manners, like take off your machete at the table and don't tramp ferns through the cabin. And also, of course, reminds her that they are living in a house with showers and towels and a close by Walmart and budget brand Lucky Charms. However, Socratic Moron is a little more diplomatic, saying, I totally understand your desire to contribute and can't thank you enough. I, for one, would love a quilt and have no doubt current and future volunteers would also get a ton of use out of it, especially once we're living on the land. You're incredibly thoughtful. Thank you. Hugs. Okay, puke, vomit, something about hugs. By now they've planted a variety of vegetables, and the chickens have gotten a lot bigger but are not quite egg-laying age yet. Oh, chickens! I will never forget the horrified look on my then 12-year-old son's face when Grandpa flipped a chicken over to show him where the egg comes out. He seemed rather stunned for several hours. My son, that is. Why is this your premier chicken-related memory? And why post it here? We had our first bad injury today. Luckily, it was me. I took a spring-loaded strawberry guava to the face, and 4 stitches later, I'm supposed to stay away from the land for at least 48 hours. But hey, for a few minutes today, I was able to drink through my chin. How many people can say that? And then like 2 posts down, someone's like, I was biking and the chin strap for my helmet cut a hole in my chin. Yeah, drinking out of your chin? Pedestrian. Everybody does that. It's not even that hardcore. Can we see your wound? When Socratic Moron returns, stitched and healing, he announces that they are planning to slaughter one of their pigs and cook it in a traditional barbecue pit. And after the debacle with the mongoose, they've now got a real gun. Mad Lil Nerd tells the tale. Just to refresh your memory, we had 2 little piggies, Spam, the boy, and Lady Oink. She really has a thing for naming the animals. Like, it's just a little quirk of hers. She names everything. Socratic Moron says he doesn't really like naming animals that he knows he's going to kill or eat, but she names everything, even to the random mongoose they trap. Anyway, Spam had a weird / possibly missing eye and was being pussy whipped by Lady. We decided that because he had a shit quality of life, it was probably best if we killed him and let Lady live. Plus, she was getting all cute and letting me scratch her back and shit. The plan was 2 people would get into the pig pen, hold him down, hog-tie him, take him out, shoot him in the back of the head, string him up, and slit his throat. The piglets had other ideas. Freaked out by 2 scary burly men in her pen, Lady jumped 3 feet and scrambled out of the pen, dashing off into the jungle. The plan changes. She's now on the menu. We know she'll come back out. She's not used to the jungle. Everyone listens for telltale oinking, and we all reposition, ready to pounce when she emerges. Nonchalantly, Lady strolls forth. Socratic Moron takes aim with the handgun, and with the accuracy of a bad guy in a western, he fires off 6 rounds. 1 hits Lady straight through the rib cage. She freaks out, turns, runs off into the jungle. We wait until the piercing squeals stop and retrieve her. Anyway, she gets strung up and skinned, and then we throw her in a hot pit to cook her for a few hours. Mad Lil Nerd is apparently the one that does the skinning, citing high school biology dissections as her only prior experience. You know what? I think she's the one I'm the most afraid of. I think she could probably take Slungblade in a fight. Fucking around in a forest trying to invent civilization from scratch is one thing when you're swinging a machete around and growing vegetables, but a lot of people draw the line at the botched and inhumane killing of animals. 6 shots though, Socratic moron? Really? Actually, it was 4 shots. I'm pretty sure the first shot was the kill shot. The second grazed its face and the other 2 missed as it went into the forest. I missed my mark, the heart, by about 1 inch and hit enough arteries that it bled out in about 30 to 45 seconds. Not bad for that distance with a handgun at a moving object. The Kahlua pig turned out pretty darn well, especially considering it was our first time. I'm personally not a huge fan of feral pig meat, but the style of cooking was awesome. Didn't you just say like 2 posts ago that it was delicious? Okay. And regarding the killing of the mongoose, he says, if you have a more humane, efficient, cost-effective way to kill them, please share, as I'd be happy to employ it. Well, the most humane method would be not to kill them at all, and build a better coop. I would guess that there is something more humane than shooting them over and over again in the face with a BB gun. Well, this project certainly has begun to devolve into a goon-fueled unnecessary shit show. This is around the time when a thread is started dedicated to gossiping about Socratic moron in Samadhi village. On an infamous something awful forum called FYAD or FYAD. FYAD stands for fuck you and die. And the whole point is being rancid haters about stuff. And being rancid haters about stuff can be fun sometimes. Or it can be fun at first. I do think that level of negativity eventually gets to people, kind of scrambles their brains a little bit. And FYAD did eventually devolve into a Nazi cesspit on par with 4chan and was shut down in 2020. But anyway, the year is 2009 and we have not yet reached Nazi cesspit levels of bad. But still, getting the attention of FYAD is considered pretty bad luck for any something awful user. The Samadhi village thread starts to get a higher volume of users visiting from FYAD, coming to criticize them for such unfair, silly things as inhumanely killing animals and being massive hypocrites. And with that, it becomes harder and harder, or maybe Socratic moron becomes less willing to distinguish genuine advice and criticisms from people who are trolling a little bit. I'm honestly not trying to troll Socratic moron. It's just that this project seems to be becoming unfocused at best. You say you want to be sustainable, but currently you are staying off-site and trucking in every day. Yes, you keep saying that your first priority is to build the communal lodge, but instead you're just fiddling around with trail making and dealing with the ins and outs of animal keeping. It's somewhat like watching 8-year-olds build a tree fort and then being more concerned with the roof and the walls than the manner in which it is actually attached to the tree. I don't feel like you're trolling, but it doesn't feel like your tone is one of supportive advice, but rather demeaning. If I am misinterpreting that, please correct me and I'll apologize. This is something awful, so I'm not saying you can't be demeaning, but what I am saying is that if you're sincere in your desire to help, taking a supportive tone would be much better received and appreciated. We're just experimenting and figuring it out as we go along. It's like holistic and it's like a yoga thing. Don't even fucking worry about it. Why do something awful users have to be so negative all the time? Also, sometimes animals get killed and eaten. Deal with it, you sensitive vegans. These aren't people, they're food animals to eat. Circle of life and all that. Can't all be sanitized, breaded chicken nuggets, hiding the fact that an animal has to die before we can eat it, or in the case of raw oysters or some sushi soon after we eat it. Thanks, Grover. That's very unnerving. That actually did make me less upset that I'm developing an oyster allergy. Mad Little Nerd addresses the controversy as well, saying they've only killed 2 mongoose, and they've stopped baiting the traps until they come up with a more humane way to do so. Yes. What happened to Lady wasn't nice either. I actually agree with Cinnamon Bastard on a few fair things, and I will go through them one by one. I discussed them with Socratic Moron today. I believe we could have recaptured her, or let her go, and taken the other pig to slaughter. I also believe if Socratic Moron had held his ground for a little longer, she would have continued towards him, and he could have gotten a cleaner and clearer shot. But none of that matters at the moment, because we killed and ate her. And to boot, she didn't taste all that great. I also agree with Cinnamon on the subject of temporary structures, which is to say, they need some dang structures, because it is not smart for them to be leaving expensive, stealable equipment and animals unattended while they're living off-site and just driving in every day to LARP that they're on Lost. The thing, which is to say the problem with setting up living quarters, is that they have absolutely no idea how to get clean water on the land. Her post reveals that things have indeed been a little bit harder than Socratic Moron has been letting on, and it's quite refreshing compared to his cloying, toxic positivity. It may seem that we've done hardly anything, but the setbacks here have been huge, and on such a massive piece of land, everything can seem overwhelming. The weather is terrible to work in. The road that they had cleared with the excavator turned into an even worse mud soup with no vegetation to hold the soil together. They were just removing invasive plants and respectfully restoring the land. How could this possibly have happened? Yes, we're making mistakes, and I understand that the entire project may seem stupid to some, but we're having fun! Can hear the desperation. We're having fun! And would love to share that with the many goons here in DIY who do like what we're doing and are sincere in their desire to provide constructive advice and support. And make no mistake, the supportive posts go a long way. Most people who move from the mainland to Hawaii move back within a year, because living out here is, well, a big change and very intense. Add on a project like this, and it's borderline overwhelming at times, especially if shitty stuff like getting ripped off transpires. I'm not sure what my point here is, other than to maybe give us some space to do our thing. I understand that what we're doing is a great source of comedy, which is cool, but please remember, there's some sensitive people over here. Who are anything but malicious. They're simply trying to find their way like everyone else, and it pains me to see them affected by some of what's being said on here. It's not me. It's the other sensitive volunteers. Think about their feelings. I'm not upset. I'm not angry right now. I'm having fun. What is wrong with people? This was probably the most interesting thread on Something Awful, and now you have to bring that Fayad bullshit over here? Agreed. Let these people build their goon kingdom in peace. Fayad starts doxing Socratic Moron, talking about some previous weird antics of his on the forum, as well as his past business ventures. His claims to being such an awesome, no, badass businessman essentially boil down to he made some websites, some like social media websites that usually ripped off Something Awful in some kind of way, and luckily managed to sell 2 of them to some companies who were trying to get in on the mid-2000s social media boom. But hey, he managed to make enough money selling them to buy the land. Do those websites exist now? Of course they do not. How will our hero address these allegations? Well, he's going to run away. Thanks again go out to those of you who are supportive. After thinking it over, we are going to stop posting on this thread since it is no longer enjoyable, even if admin continue to reopen it. Because hey, why do anything that's not fun? It sucks that it's gotten shit on to this extent, as it was fun to share with you guys and get your valuable insight. But such is life on Something Awful, I guess. I used to have severe depression and anxiety, and, while not intentionally or maliciously, was a douche at times because I was projecting. Hyperlink to the Wikipedia page for projection because I'm like a decade ahead of trend with my annoying therapy speak, and some of you plebes might not know what I mean. To the people I was a douche to in the past, I sincerely apologize. While yoga and a lot of introspection and hard work have allowed me to overcome the depression and anxiety and lead a much more emotionally balanced life, I'm still far from perfect. But at least I'm now having fun! If after all that anyone still wants to volunteer, fill out the application linked in the first post of this thread and I'll pay you 20 Hawaii bucks. Building a resort from scratch is a gargantuan task. No one will try to deny that. So I don't understand how you fail to realize that this will invite a lot of skepticism, especially if none of the people involved have any experience whatsoever. If you get derailed by a couple of smarmy, the only word YouTube has directly demonetized me for saying, you're not trying hard enough. True, he shouldn't have given up on the thread. You tell him, Slungblade. Slungblade is definitely my favorite character. This is like watching a car crash in slow motion, except the cars are shit. Why are you killing animals for sport if you give a care about yoga and all that mindfuck jazz? Why haven't you at least tried to erect, even fucking drew housing if you actually plan on living there long term? Permaculture? What in the holy fuck does permaculture have to do with anything if you haven't mapped out temporary access to things like water, shelter, and sanitation outlets? You are just pissing and shitting anywhere. I dare you show any of these plans other than slinging words like micro-hydro around when you can't even listen to simple advice about building gates and not torturing animals. Edit, and if a little ribbing from the internet about your project is enough to close a discussion, how do you expect to accomplish such huge goals? Faya did you a favor. I'll guess you are already looking for buyers for the property. Congratulations, we are all now gay. And with that, the thread is closed. Socratic Moron, no longer posting about the land on Something Awful, leaves us with the Samadhi Village website as a source. It does not exist anymore, but there are some Wayback Machine archives of some of the blog posts. And they do continue after the thread ended. So, let us observe. August 28th, all 4 volunteers have now come and gone, and they're awesome people, and he is so happy to have made new friends. September 3rd, there are 2 new volunteers. They are a pair of friends from Israel, and they're apparently really good at woodworking, so they've been building all kinds of furniture and cool, badass, awesome stuff. Cool chairs made out of native wood, definitely a priority over water source. September 11th, we've been working on the land for a little more than 4 months now. There have been ups and downs. Days of much progress, and days where it seems like we don't get much done. But overall, the experience has been nothing short of amazing, and I'm having a ton of fun. In fact, I remarked to Rebecca today that I'd prefer to spend more than 6 hours a day working right now, as my body has become accustomed to the physical rigors. On a philosophical level, I no longer consider the land to be my land. I realize I am the land's steward, but the land is most definitely not mine. How can one truly own nature? On the animal front, we no longer have any pigs. We ate one, but didn't really like the taste. Feral pig meat isn't so good, I guess. It is delicious. So we let the other one go. Haven't seen him around since. Our chickens are super healthy and growing daily. After lots of trailblazing, we finally figured out where we want our initial structures to be. Woo! We're therefore working to widen and vastly improve that specific trail into the jungle. It's a ton of work to cut down the strawberry guava, but it's exciting to know that we're working our way into the jungle in an effort to build structures that'll finally let us live on the land. September 24th, the chickens lay their first eggs. Things still looking good. But oh wait. October 21st. The post is titled Frustration and Discouragement. Not everything that happens here at Samadhi Village is always roses and honey. These past couple weeks have had multiple episodes that evokes all sorts of negative emotions. We bought some baby Muscovy ducklings and were quite excited about the prospect of having a large flock one day. A few days later, 9 of the 11 ducks were killed by a feral dog. Fast forward to a few days later, and 8 of our 11 chickens were killed by probably the same dog. He goes on to say that he was very emotionally attached to those chickens, having decided that they were not going to be food animals, they were just for eggs, and he raised them since they were babies, and they were his friends. And yeah, that is sad. I wonder when that change was made, though, because he was originally warning Mad Little Nerd not to name them, and that they were gonna turn them into chicken korma or whatever. So, I wonder when that changed, when he realized that, slaughtering animals is not, super lots of fun or easy. 2 months pass before his next update on December 20th. He says, "It has been quite a while since we last updated the blog. The 2 main reasons for that are, we moved onto the land November 1st. As such, we've been extremely busy working to make our situation a little more livable. 2, our internet connection sucked sweaty ass for a while, but it's apparently sorted now, so they should be giving more updates. What an adventure moving onto the land has been." Oh man, I must admit it's been tough. People snapped. People, not me. I didn't fucking snap. People, it was people. I'm having fun. Each of us made a personal choice. Surrender to what is and enjoy the transition, or have a meltdown. Some of us did the latter before the former. Some of us just the former. This is in no way me talking negatively about anyone, as everyone has been super awesome. This life simply isn't for everyone, or some just aren't ready to take on such an intense adventure. One thing I've learned is that Hawaii is not paradise. Paradise is within and sits right next to hell. Hawaii just gives you the grand opportunity to either connect to the paradise or the hell, or both, that is within each of us. His promise of more blog posts ends up coming true because he posts the very next day to say that the feral dog has struck again. Of the 11 baby chicks I raised so many months ago, all are now dead. One of these 2 hens was so comfortable with me that she would literally let me pet her. The one bright spot is that I now know what has been attacking our flocks. A neighbor recently had dozens of her sheep killed / wounded by dogs. My guess is it's the same 3. I have a security system that'll be here any day now that is going to let me figure out when and how often they come onto the land. At that point, I'll be able to formulate a plan to effectively put a bullet in these useless animals. I've come to terms with the fact that I'm just a steward of the land. I surrender to the natural order of things. But fuck these useless animals, am I right though? He still feels the need to put up security cameras to keep track of everything that goes on in the land and kill everything that doesn't directly serve him or fit the aesthetic of beautiful natural rainforests. Like, fuck off. A few days later he posts again. He describes the house that they've built and are living in as having 20% screened walls. This is the only description of the living quarters we ever get. I assume there must have been pictures, maybe other updates back when this website was intact. I'm trying to piece it together from pretty sparse archives, so this is the only description I can find of the living quarters. Anyway, it's December 25th, so he says happy holidays. He reports that the Hawaii winter has been dry and hot so far. If you would have told me 1 month ago that we would be praying for rain, I very well may have punched you in the face and then drowned you in our 2 feet of rain-induced mud. This is actually a wonderful lesson. Water is one of, if not the single most important ingredient to a self-sufficient lifestyle, and we took it for granted here in Hawaii. Until now. We have to build our catchment system taking these times of drought into consideration, because the truth is, if it wasn't for the water spigot at the county supplies about 10 miles down the road, we'd be fucked. It's now 2010, January 4th. The final post on the blog is titled Pig Hunting in Hawaii. Socratic Moron learns to hunt feral pigs from 2 locals that he's befriended. These guys were good hunters and taught me a lot. They showed me tree scars all over the land where boars rub their tusks on trees, and how you're able to determine the size of the pig by how high on the tree the scars are. They showed me pig wallows, areas they eat, and areas they sleep, all things I never would have noticed in the past. After the hunt was over, we sauntered out of the jungle in an area where we're growing a lot of plants. One of my friends looked down and said, "Sweet potatoes? I hope you get some." I asked him what he meant, thinking he'd say our soil quality or water draining or whatever was lacking. But his response was, "Sweet potatoes are like crack for pigs. I guarantee they're going to be eating these." I really hadn't put that much thought into the potential of pigs eating our veggies until now. This is exactly what I was clowning on him about from the very beginning. Okay, you see now? This is the insanity. This is the white man hubris to show up in Hawaii and think you need to invent living there from scratch when people are doing it and can tell you super basic stuff that you're doing wrong. Just anytime they can just tell you. In traditional times here in Hawaii, my understanding is that the men were usually either fishermen or hunters. While I thoroughly enjoy fishing, I have no doubt I would have been a hunter. This post can also be categorized under the Why We Came to Hawaii series I'm writing, because I very much wanted to get back to some of my primal roots and engage in the raw, unsanitized experience like hunting. I have a friend in Phoenix who sometimes talks about not quite knowing what it means to be a man, and he and I had a lot of conversations about it. We feel quite strongly that Western society has in many ways neutered the man to the point that men no longer know what being a man even means. For that matter, I think the same can be said about women and what femininity really is, as it sure as hell isn't what fashion magazines and marketers have led women to believe. As much as I would love to hear him follow that thought to the obvious conclusion, which is that women are just like natural mothers and nurturers and the divine feminine, and you have to be like makeup free and pregnant harvesting fresh herbs or you're not a real woman. But then like he would also probably launch into some weird tangent about trying to justify why his girlfriend is on birth control because he's a massive hypocrite. But at this point, this is my Samadhi Village fanfiction. This doesn't happen. We don't know anything. This is my way of saying we don't really know what happened after that. This blog was last archived on January 25th, and this was posted in earlier January, so pig hunting in Hawaii may very well be the last post he ever made to this website, or maybe there were later posts that just didn't get archived. I don't know. This is the last detailed account of what was going on that survives, but there are a few clues hanging around. So May 23rd, 2010, Mad Little Nerd posts in another thread in response to a question about like, oh hey, whatever happened to that Socratic moron guy living in the jungle? She says, he's still alive and working out there. He has some structures up now. Socratic Moron also posts on different DIY threads asking for advice about projects, making clear reference to things that are going on the land until around mid-2010, and then things get pretty murky. Mid-2010 is the last time we have Mad Little Nerd confirming he's there, and the last time we have him making reference to things that are happening on the land on Something Awful. But then, going through his post history, October 2011, I just purchased a new house, and when painting noted, I see. He gave up. He sold the land, he bought a house instead. At this point in 2011, that house might have also still been in Hawaii, but we know that he did eventually move back to the mainland US. That being said, he did continue to post in DIY threads for years to come about everything from gardening to woodworking to other sustainable type projects. It seems like this guy does genuinely have a lot of useful skills when not in the context of trying to live in a rainforest in Hawaii. And he did last between like a year and a half and 2 years out there. So that's pretty impressive. It's also impressive that he convinced so many random people from the internet to go out there and play Lost with him. White man hubris did not win, but it did get him farther than you would expect. That's what I have to say about that. I'm sorry that this story is like so badly archived and there's so many holes and it has a bit of an underwhelming ending, but I think it was just still a fascinating story to read. Do you love the little set that I built using all of my mother's houseplants? All right, that's all from me. I'll see you again. I'll see you again. Don't worry about it. I'll be seeing you. Even if I'll be seeing you. I'll be seeing you. Yeah. Yeah. What? Watch it. Watch out. Because I'll be seeing you.